As you know on The Watches, we like to celebrate the underdog, and tonight we're going to shine a light on the courtship and mating of spiders. How do they do it? It's the question on everyone's lips, and we're going to answer it. First of all, we're going to look at the courtship of a web spider. Now look at this. This is the male that goes into the female's web, and you see what he's doing with his back legs. He's sort of playing that piece of string like a harp, romantically plucking it to try and attract that female. So that's how a web spider does it. Other spiders have a different technique. Look at this one. This is a totally different way of trying to attract a female. This is a wolf spider, and just look at what it's doing. It's trying to woo that female with some groovy moves. Basically, it uses its enlarged palps. It waves them around, puts one higher than the other in a sort of little sequence there, and then it vibrates its body. Is it impressing the female? Well, it's impressing the judges here. I think it gets 10 out of 10, a strictly 10.
On my hand, I have a facsimile, a model of that wolf spider, and my fingers represent its pedipalps here, and I'm flexing them up and down, attracting a female here. So this is part of the courtship display. This isn't mating, this is courting the female, making sure that she's in the mood to mate. It can be a risky business, of course, for spiders. So let's imagine he's got to the point, the female is going to be receptive. How does he transfer his reproductive material? Well, he produces what we call a sperm web. He spins this using his spinnerets and another organ on the underside of his body, and then he climbs on top of it and deposits his sperm into that web. Now, that's not going to be much use if it's just left lying around. So what he does then is use those highly modified pedipalps to actually suck up the sperm here, and I can demonstrate that if I can get hold of my little things here, like that. There's the sperm being sucked up into the pedipalps, like this. And they have hollow tubes inside, like that. And then he needs to get it to the female. So he approaches the female very carefully, and he uses these pedipalps to pass it over. He's got to pass it to her epigynum, underneath her body. But look at the pedipalp here. It's got a very characteristic shape on it. And Michaela, if you take that over and demonstrate on the females here why it's got that very particular form at its tip.
So this is the underside of the female, and then that is the epigynum there, and then his pedipalp has to fit into one of them. Isn't that right, Chris?
That's exactly right.
Will it fit into that one? No. Will it fit into that one? No. So he's not going to mate with those two. Wrong spiders. Which one's he going to mate with? That one, because it fits perfectly.
So this is a way of ensuring that this particular male of a given species can only effectively mate with a female of the same species. His pedipalp needs to slot neatly into that epigynum to transfer the sperm. He then squirts it into her body, and she stores it in something called the spermatheca. Now, when she's finally ready to produce eggs, they pass out of her ovaries through the spermatheca where they are fertilised, and then she produces those eggs.
Well, and if we look at a picture, you can really see it, because that bulbous thing on the ends of her is the silk sac where the eggs are, and she carries that around for a few weeks, and then they all come out of there as little spiderlings. They climb on her back, piggyback her for a couple of days before they come off, and then they harden up and change colour. But look at that, they absolutely smother her. So that is how spiders do their courtship and mating, at least some of the spiders. And incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible. It's not that unusual in the animal kingdom. We always think of sperms as being directly transferred, but there are plenty of other animals that use packages like this. Octopus, for instance, will produce a sperm package, which the males will inject into the legs of the female, and she'll store it there until she's ready to reproduce. And there's an animal that's living in most of our garden ponds that does something similar, our newts. They produce something called a spermatophore, and again they pass it to the female so that she can use it when she's ready.
And I'm really impressed that our little spider prop works.
I'm afraid I had a bit of a leakage at the back there, but we won't talk about that. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll move swiftly on